I'm 73 years old, and 6 months ago, my wife of 41 years died in our bedroom with her hand in mine. Her last words weren't, "I love you," or "take care of yourself," or any of the things you see in movies. Her last words were, "You never really knew me, did you?" And she was right. I spent 41 years married to a woman I thought I understood completely. 41 years of breakfasts and bedtimes and everything in between. 41 years of finishing each other's sentences and knowing how the other took their coffee. 41 years of what I thought was intimacy. And in her final breath, she told me the truth. I'd been living with a stranger. You think you know the people closest to you. You think that time equals understanding, that years of proximity somehow translate into genuine knowledge of another person's soul. I thought that too. I was wrong. And by the time I figured it out, she was gone. Her name was Claire. We met in 1982 at a company picnic. I was 29, she was 27, and I thought she was the most interesting person I'd ever met. She talked about poetry and philosophy and dreams she had about traveling to places I'd never heard of. She made me feel like the world was bigger than I'd imagined. We got married 8 months later, and somewhere between the wedding and the funeral, I stopped listening. Not all at once. It happened so gradually I didn't even notice. The first year, I hung on every word she said. By year 5, I was half listening while reading the newspaper. By year 10, I was finishing her sentences because I thought I already knew what she was going to say. By year 20, I'd stopped asking questions altogether. I thought I knew her. I knew she liked her coffee black. I knew she read before bed. I knew she preferred movies with subtitles and hated surprises. I knew 1,000 small facts about her habits and preferences. But I didn't know her. I didn't know what she dreamed about, what she regretted, what she still hoped for. What scared her? What made her feel alive? For 41 years, Claire tried to tell me. She'd start conversations about things that mattered to her, and I'd nod along while thinking about work or the lawn or what was for dinner. She'd mention wanting to take a pottery class, and I'd say, "That's nice," without ever asking why. She'd talk about a book that moved her, and I'd never ask what resonated so deeply. I thought being a good husband meant providing, making sure the bills were paid, the house was maintained, the car was reliable. I thought love was about stability and consistency and showing up every day, and those things matter, but they're not enough. About 5 years ago, Claire started writing. She'd spend hours at the kitchen table with notebooks and pens, filling pages with words I never asked to read. I'd walk past her, kiss the top of her head, and go watch television. It never occurred to me to sit down and ask what she was writing. 3 years ago, she joined a book club. She'd come home from meetings energized, talking about discussions they'd had. I'd ask how it went, and when she started to really tell me, I'd glance at my phone or remember something I needed to do. The light would go out of her eyes, and she'd say, "It was fine," and go make tea. 2 years ago, she stopped trying to share those things with me. She'd still tell me about her day if I asked, but it was surface level stuff, the weather, what she made for lunch. The real parts of her life, the parts that mattered, she kept to herself. And I didn't even notice. Last year, she got sick. Pancreatic cancer, the aggressive kind. They gave her 6 months, and she made it 8. And in those 8 months, I thought I was being the husband she needed. I took her to appointments. I held her hand during treatments. I made sure she took her medications on time, but I still didn't ask the right questions. I asked if she was comfortable, if she needed anything, if the pain was manageable. I never asked if she was scared, what she thought about when she couldn't sleep, what she wished she'd done differently. 3 days before she died, her sister came to visit. I left them alone in the bedroom, and when I walked past the door, I heard Claire crying, really crying, telling her sister about dreams she'd never pursued, places she'd never seen, things she'd wanted to say but never found the courage. Her sister asked why she never told me these things, and Claire said, "You never asked." And after a while, I stopped trying. I stood outside that door and felt something break inside my chest. 41 years. 41 years, and she didn't think I cared enough to ask. On her last day, I sat beside her bed. She was so small by then, so fragile. The cancer had taken everything except her eyes, and those eyes looked at me with something that might have been sadness or might have been pity. I told her I loved her. I told her she was the best thing that ever happened to me. I told her I'd been lucky to spend 41 years with her. She squeezed my hand, and her voice was barely a whisper. "You never really knew me, did you?" I wanted to argue. I wanted to list all the things I knew about her. But looking into her eyes, I realized she was right. I knew her routines, her habits, her surface preferences. But I didn't know her heart. I didn't know her soul. She died 2 hours later. And I've spent the last 6 months trying to understand how I could have been so blind. After the funeral, I started reading her notebooks, pages and pages of thoughts and observations and feelings she'd never shared with me. Dreams about opening a small bookstore, regrets about not pursuing art more seriously, fears about becoming invisible as she aged, questions about whether she'd mattered. She'd written about our marriage, about loving me but feeling lonely, about wanting to be seen, really seen, not just as the person who made dinner and remembered birthdays, but as a complete human being with inner life and complexity. There was an entry from 10 years ago where she'd written, "I think he loves who he thinks I am, but he's never asked who I actually am." Reading that broke something in me that I don't think will ever be fixed. I found tickets in her drawer. Paris. She'd bought 2 tickets to Paris for our 40th anniversary. She'd never mentioned it, never told me she wanted to go. I found a folder of research, museums she wanted to visit, cafes she wanted to try. She'd planned this whole trip and never breathed a word of it because somewhere along the way, she'd decided I wouldn't be interested. And the worst part is, she was probably right. If she'd told me about Paris, I probably would have said it was too expensive or too much trouble. I would have found a reason to say no without ever asking why it mattered to her. I'm sitting in our house now, surrounded by 41 years of shared life, and I barely recognize any of it. There's a painting in our bedroom that she bought at a street fair 20 years ago. I never asked what drew her to it. There's a chip in one of our coffee mugs that she refused to throw away. I never asked why she kept it. I thought I was a good husband. I thought showing up was enough. But love isn't just about showing up. It's about paying attention. It's about asking questions and actually listening to the answers. It's about caring enough to know the person you're with, not just the version of them you've created in your head. Here's what I've learned 6 months too late. Marriage isn't about time. You can spend 41 years with someone and know nothing, or you can spend one deep conversation and understand everything. It's not about the quantity of years. It's about the quality of attention. I never asked Claire what made her feel alive. I never asked about her childhood dreams or her adult regrets. I never asked what scared her or excited her or kept her up at night. I assumed that being married meant we knew each other automatically, that proximity equaled intimacy. But you can sleep next to someone for 41 years and never touch their soul. You can share a life and never share what matters. The morning after Claire died, I found a letter she'd written to me. It was dated 2 weeks before her diagnosis. She'd never sent it, but she'd kept it in her journal, like she knew someday I might need to find it. In the letter, she wrote about feeling invisible, about wondering if I saw her as a person or just as a role, the wife who kept the house running. She wrote about wanting to matter beyond the practical things she did, about wanting to be known, really known. She ended the letter with a question. Do you know what I dream about? Do you know what breaks my heart? After all these years, do you know me? Reading that letter, I had to answer honestly. No, I didn't know those things. I'd never asked. If you're married, if you're in love, if you share your life with someone, I need you to understand something. Time doesn't equal knowledge. Years don't equal intimacy. You have to choose every single day to be curious about the person you're with. Ask what they dream about. Ask what scares them. Ask what makes them feel most alive. Ask about their regrets and their hopes and the things they think about when they can't sleep. And don't just ask once. Keep asking, because people change, they grow, they evolve. I wasted 41 years. I had 4 decades with an extraordinary woman, and I spent most of that time thinking I already knew everything about her. I was comfortable, complacent. I stopped being curious, and because of that, I missed her. Don't make my mistake. Don't assume that time equals understanding. Don't mistake routine for intimacy or proximity for connection. Don't wait until it's too late to ask the questions that matter. Claire is gone, and I'm left with 41 years of missed opportunities, unasked questions, and a profound regret that will follow me for whatever time I have left. But you still can. Whoever you love, whoever shares your life, you still have time. You still have the chance to really see them, to really know them. Don't waste it the way I did, because someday time will run out, and when it does, you'll either be left with the deep knowledge of having truly known another person, or you'll be left like me, holding 41 years of beautiful, hollow memories. Claire's last words changed everything, but they changed it too late. Don't wait for last words. Ask the questions now. Pay attention now. Know the people you love now while there's still time.